We should have turned around the moment the trail markers changed. Not disappeared, changed. The paint on the trees was still fresh, still wet in some places. But instead of the normal white rectangles we had been following all morning, someone had painted black circles over them. Perfect circles. Like eyes. There were 3 of us on that hike, me, Daniel, and his younger brother, Luke. It was supposed to be a simple 2-day trail through the mountains. Nothing extreme, no climbing, no survival nonsense. Just forest, cold air, a campsite near the ridge, then back down before sunset the next day. At least that was the plan. The first few hours were normal. Too normal. Birds in the trees, mud on the trail. Daniel complaining about his backpack every 10 minutes. Luke recording everything on his phone because he wanted to make some dramatic hiking montage. Then around noon, we reached the fork. The map showed one path going left, only one. But in front of us, there were 2. The left trail was narrow, overgrown, and marked with faded white paint. The right trail looked cleaner, wider, almost recently cleared. And on the tree beside it was the first black circle. Daniel laughed and said, "Maybe they changed the route." I didn't like it. There was no sign, no warning, no wooden post, just that black circle staring at us from the bark. Luke zoomed in on it with his phone. Then he went quiet. I asked what was wrong. He turned the screen toward me. The circle wasn't paint. Not exactly. It looked painted from far away, but up close it had texture, like something had been rubbed into the wood, something dark and thick. Daniel told us to stop being weird and picked the right trail. That was the first mistake. For the next hour, the forest felt different. Not scary, just wrong. The trees were too close together. The air got colder every few minutes, and the sound of the main trail behind us disappeared completely. No hikers.
No birds, no wind. Only our footsteps. Then Luke stopped. He pointed at a tree ahead. Another black circle. Then another. Then another. They weren't marking the trail anymore. They were on both sides of us, at shoulder height, every 10 or 15 feet. Like something wanted us to know we were inside it now. Daniel tried to joke again, but his voice didn't land. No one laughed. We kept moving because turning back felt worse. That's hard to explain. The trail behind us looked darker than the trail ahead, not because of shadows, because it felt less real, like the forest had already closed over it. Around 3 p.m. we found the campsite, or what we thought was the campsite. There was a flat clearing, a stone fire ring, a few logs arranged like seats. It matched the description online, but the map said the campsite was still 2 miles farther. Daniel checked his GPS. No signal. Luke checked his. No signal. Mine showed something worse. It showed us standing in the middle of a lake.
There was no lake anywhere near that mountain. Daniel said we should stay there anyway. The sun was already dropping behind the trees, and none of us wanted to keep walking that trail in the dark. So we set up the tent, collected dry sticks, made a small fire. For maybe 20 minutes, things felt normal again. Warm light, food packets, bad jokes, that fake comfort you get when you pretend fear has rules. Then Luke noticed the logs. There were 4 of them, not 3, 4 logs around the fire ring. And the 4th one had a backpack sitting beside it. Old, green, half buried under leaves. Nobody had seen it when we arrived. Daniel opened it before I could tell him not to. Inside were wet clothes, a rusted flashlight, a plastic compass, and a folded map. The map looked exactly like ours. Same trail, same ridge, same river crossing. Except someone had drawn a black line over the right-hand path, the path we took. At the end of that line, they had written 2 words: "Don't answer." Luke said, "Answer what?" That's when we heard it. A voice from the trees. Daniel's voice. Not Daniel speaking, Daniel's voice coming from somewhere outside the clearing. "Guys?" We all froze. Daniel was sitting right beside me. His face went completely empty. The voice called again. "Guys, come here for a second." Same tone, same little breath at the end of the sentence. Exactly, Daniel. Luke whispered, "That's not funny." Daniel didn't move. The forest answered in his voice. "I found something." No one spoke for a long time. Then the fire popped, and all 3 of us jumped. Daniel grabbed the map from the old backpack and shoved it into his jacket. "We leave at first light," he said. Nobody argued. That night, we slept in shifts. At least, we tried to. The tent felt too thin. Every sound outside felt intentional. Leaves scraping, branches bending, dirt shifting. Around midnight, Luke shook my shoulder. He had his finger over his lips.
Then he pointed toward the tent wall. There was a shadow outside, standing close, too close. Not moving, just blocking the moonlight. I could see the outline of a head, a shoulder, an arm hanging slightly too low. Then it leaned closer and whispered in my voice, "Daniel's asleep." My stomach dropped so hard I thought I might be sick. Luke's eyes filled with tears, but he didn't make a sound. The thing outside dragged one finger slowly down the tent fabric, not cutting it, just tracing, like it was learning the shape. Then it whispered again, still in my voice, "Open it." Daniel woke up at that exact second. He gasped. The shadow vanished, not walked away, vanished. One moment it was there, the next, moonlight filled the tent wall. We didn't sleep after that. At dawn, we packed faster than I've ever packed in my life. Daniel wanted to follow the trail back. I wanted to cut downhill through the trees. Luke just kept staring at the black circles.
There were more now. Some of them were on trees we had already passed. Some were lower, some were higher. And one was painted on the back of our tent. A perfect black circle, still wet. We left the campsite without breakfast. The trail looked different in daylight, less like a path, more like something pretending to be one. Branches bent over it from both sides. The mud was untouched except for our own footprints. And then Daniel stopped so suddenly I almost hit him. Ahead of us, in the middle of the trail, was the old green backpack. The same one from the campsite, closed, clean, sitting upright like someone had placed it there minutes ago. Daniel turned around. The campsite was gone. No tent marks, no fire ring, no clearing, just trees. Luke started breathing too fast. Daniel grabbed his arm and said, "Don't answer anything, no matter what you hear." We walked around the backpack. Nobody touched it. 10 minutes later, we heard Luke behind us. Not real Luke.
Real Luke was between me and Daniel. The voice came from far back on the trail. "Wait, I dropped my phone." Luke started crying silently. The voice called again. "Guys, please, I'm serious." Daniel held his brother by the jacket and forced him forward. Then the voice changed. It became their mother, soft, angry, terrified. "Daniel, why are you leaving him?" Daniel almost broke. I saw it happen.
His face changed. His body turned halfway around. I grabbed his backpack and pulled him hard. "Don't!" The forest went silent. Then every tree around us seemed to whisper at once. Not words, almost words, like people speaking through closed doors. We started running. The trail twisted downhill, then uphill, then somehow back past the same black-marked tree 3 times. Luke fell once and cut his hand on a rock. Nothing serious. But the moment he made a sound, something in the forest copied it. A small gasp, perfectly identical. Then again, closer. Then again, right beside us.
We ran until the trees finally opened. For 1 second, I thought we made it.
There was a road ahead, a real road. Gravel, sunlight, a wooden sign. Daniel laughed. Luke collapsed onto his knees. I almost did too. Then I read the sign. Ridge Campsite, 2 miles. We were back at the start. Not the parking lot, not the main trail. The fork. The same fork. Left trail, right trail. Black circle on the tree. But this time, there was something new. 3 backpacks leaning against the trunk. Ours, neatly placed. Like we had already arrived before ourselves. Luke whispered, "No." Daniel walked to his backpack slowly. I told him not to touch it. He didn't listen. Inside was his jacket, his water bottle, his phone, and a folded map. He opened it with shaking hands. The black line was longer now. It didn't just follow the right trail. It circled the entire mountain, again and again and again. Like a trap. At the center of the circles, someone had written a sentence, not in ink, scratched into the paper. It learns the way back from your voice. That's when my phone rang. No signal, no service, still ringing. The caller ID said Daniel. Daniel was standing beside me. His phone was in his hand. The ringing kept going. Luke whispered, "Don't answer." I didn't, but my thumb was shaking so badly it brushed the screen. The call connected. For 3 seconds, there was only breathing. Then my own voice came through the speaker, calm, close, almost smiling. "Now I know which one you are." The line went dead, and somewhere deep in the right-hand trail, all 3 of us started screaming for help. Our voices, our exact voices, begging, crying, calling each other by name. Daniel grabbed Luke, I grabbed Daniel, and we took the left trail, the old one, the wrong-looking one, the one we should have taken first.
We walked until sunset. No talking, no stopping, no looking back. At some point, the black circles disappeared. Then the birds came back. Then we saw the parking lot, a real one, with cars, trash cans, a normal wooden information board. We made it out. At least, that's what we told ourselves. 2 weeks later, Luke sent me the footage from his phone. Most of it was normal, us walking, laughing, complaining, the fork, the black circle, the campsite. But near the end, there was a clip none of us remembered recording. It was filmed from inside the forest, far away, watching the 3 of us sleep in the tent. The camera didn't move, didn't shake, just watched for 8 minutes. Then my voice whispered behind the camera, "Which one should we send back?" I haven't hiked since. Daniel doesn't talk about it. Luke deleted every file and sold his phone. But last night, I found something in my mailbox. No stamp, no address,
Just a folded paper map. Same mountain, same trail, same black circle drawn over the fork.
And on the back, written in my handwriting, were 5 words. You answered. Now it follows.
The guide told us something strange before we entered the mountains. Not dangerous, not dramatic, just strange enough that everyone laughed. If at any point during the hike you think there are more people in the group than there should be, he adjusted the straps on his backpack. Don't say it out loud. Nobody took him seriously. That was our first mistake. There were 6 of us total. Me, my cousin Nate, a couple named Aaron and Joel, a quiet guy called Marcus, and the guide. His name was Cal. The trail ran through a remote section of forest 3 hours from the nearest town. No signal, no cabins, no tourists. Just mountains and trees dense enough to block the sky. Cal told us the hike would take 2 days, 1 night at the ridge campsite, then back down the following morning. Simple, easy, nothing supernatural. At least, not at first. The first few hours felt normal. Too normal.
That fake calm horror movies always use before something goes wrong. Nate kept making jokes. Joel filmed everything on a tiny handheld camera. Marcus barely spoke. And every now and then, I'd catch Cal looking into the trees like he expected something to move. Around sunset, we reached the campsite. 6 tents already waiting for us. I remember that clearly because Nate joked about how luxury this hike was. 6 tents, 1 per person. Cal immediately counted them, not casually, carefully. His lips moved while he counted. Then his shoulders relaxed slightly. That should have been the moment we left. Instead, we made dinner, built a fire, talked, laughed. Normal human things people do before they realize they're trapped somewhere. The mountain got quieter after dark. Not peaceful quiet, dead quiet. No insects, no wind, nothing. At one point, Aaron whispered, "Does anyone else feel like someone's listening?" Nobody answered her, because all of us felt it already. Around midnight, I woke up needing to pee. The fire had died. Everything outside the tent looked silver under the moonlight. That's when I noticed the boots. A pair of hiking boots standing outside my tent. Not mine, not Nate's. Just there, facing the zipper, like someone had been standing there, watching me sleep. I looked around the campsite. No movement, no sound. Then I counted the tents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There were 7 tents now. I stared at the extra one near the trees, dark gray, almost blending into the forest. I was sure it hadn't been there earlier. Then I remembered what Cal said. Don't say it out loud. My chest tightened. I backed away slowly and went to wake Nate. But before I reached his tent, I heard whispering, very soft, coming from inside the 7th tent. 2 voices, arguing. One sounded terrified, the other sounded calm. Then I heard my own name. I froze. The zipper of the gray tent moved slightly, just an inch, enough for darkness inside to become visible. Then a voice whispered, "Which one is he?" I ran back into my tent and didn't sleep for the rest of the night. At sunrise, everyone looked exhausted. Nobody mentioned the 7th tent, not directly. But I noticed people counting under their breath, Cal especially. He looked worse than anyone, pale, sweating, constantly checking the tree line. Then Marcus finally asked the question, "Did anyone hear talking last night?"
Instant silence. Cal stood up immediately. "We leave now." No breakfast, no fire cleanup, nothing. Just panic hidden behind fake calm. We packed fast and started moving uphill toward the ridge trail. That's when Joel noticed something. "There are 7 backpacks." Everybody stopped walking. Joel laughed nervously. "Whose extra bag is that?" No one answered, because none of us wanted to look directly at it. The backpack was black, wet, covered in pine needles, sitting beside the trail like it had always been there. Cal walked over slowly, looked at it, then quietly said, "Keep moving." Joel frowned. "What the hell is happening?" Cal ignored him. And that's when we heard footsteps behind us. One person walking, heavy boots crushing dirt, matching our pace exactly. But whenever we turned around, nothing was there. After another hour, the weather changed. Fog rolled through the trees so fast it looked alive. 1 second we could see the trail, the next, visibility dropped to maybe 20 feet. Cal stopped suddenly. "There's a rule now," he said. His voice shook slightly. "If anyone hears their own voice behind them," he swallowed hard, "don't answer it." Nobody laughed this time. Then Nate heard it first. His face drained of color. From somewhere deep in the fog behind us came his own voice. "Nate?" Perfectly identical. Same tone,
Same breathing, same nervous little crack at the end. Nate almost turned around. I grabbed his jacket. The voice came again, closer this time. "Nate, wait!" Marcus whispered. "That's impossible." Then Joel suddenly stopped walking. He was staring into the trees. At first, I thought he saw someone. Then I realized what he was looking at. There were people standing between the trees. Shapes, human-sized, perfectly still, watching us. At least a dozen of them, maybe more. The fog hid their faces, but I could feel them staring. Cal saw them too. "Keep walking," he said immediately. Nobody moved. One of the figures copied him, at the exact same time. Same posture, same tilt of the head, like a delayed reflection. Joel raised his camera. The figure raised something too, like it was pretending to hold a camera. That's when panic finally hit the group. Erin started crying. Nate kept whispering, "What the hell?" over and over. And Marcus counted. I didn't realize what he was doing until it was too late. He pointed toward the trees. "There's 13 of them." Everything stopped. The forest, the wind, even the footsteps behind us. Cal turned around so fast I thought he was going to hit him. "You said it out loud." Marcus looked confused. Then one of the figures stepped forward from the fog, not walking, sliding slightly between the trees. Wrong movement, wrong proportions, too tall. Its arms bent strangely at the elbows, and when it reached the edge of the trail, we saw Marcus standing there. Not the real Marcus, another one. Same clothes, same face, same terrified expression. Both Marcuses stared at each other. Nobody breathed. Then the copy smiled first. The real Marcus ran, straight into the fog. Cal screamed after him, but it was too late. We heard branches snapping, heavy footsteps, then Marcus yelling somewhere in the trees. "Help me!" We all turned instinctively, and Cal shouted, "Don't follow the voice!" Marcus kept screaming. Closer, farther, closer again, impossible distances. Then suddenly, right beside us. "Help me!"
The voice exploded from the fog directly next to Nate. Something moved between the trees. Fast. Too fast. Nate stumbled backward. Joel dropped the camera. And for 1 second, I saw faces in the fog. Dozens of them. Human faces stretched unnaturally wide, mouths slightly open, watching us, learning us. Cal grabbed Joel's camera off the ground. "Move now!" We ran downhill blindly. Branches tore at our clothes. The fog swallowed everything behind us. But the voices kept following. Sometimes Marcus, sometimes Nate, sometimes me. At one point, I heard my own voice whispered directly into my ear. "You left me behind." By sunset, we found the ranger station, or what looked like one. A tiny wooden building near the road. Safe, warm light in the windows.
Cars outside. For the first time all day, it felt real again. Nate started laughing hysterically. Erin collapsed onto the gravel, crying. Cal didn't move. He just stared at the station, then quietly asked, "How many of us are here?" Nobody answered immediately, because suddenly, none of us were completely sure anymore. Joel counted first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He stopped. We all looked around slowly. 5 people, not 6. Marcus was gone. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was this. None of us could remember who the 6th person originally was. Not clearly. We remembered 6 backpacks, 6 tents, 6 voices. But when we tried to picture the missing person, our minds went blank. Like the mountain had erased someone, or added someone. Cal slowly opened Joel's camera. The last recorded clip started playing automatically. Shaky footage. Fog. Running. People screaming. Then the camera turned briefly toward our group while we ran. I counted us on the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One extra person was running with us. Tall, smiling, keeping perfect pace beside the group. And none of us had noticed it the entire time.